It's 5 o'clock p.m. on Monday, February 27th, 2023. I call this public hearing of Kingsville Independent School District to order. We'll have a roll call. Joe Morales.
Here.
Martin Chapa.
Here.
David Garcia. David Garcia. Joseph Reese.
Here.
James Glusing. James Glusing. Delma Salinas. Delma Salinas. And Brian Kupal is here. Let the record show there is a quorum of board members present, and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551 of the State of Texas Open Meetings Act. Kingsville ISD Board of Trustees will conduct a public hearing to discuss the following. For one, the Kingsville ISD Board of Trustees will conduct a public hearing to discuss the 2021-2022 Texas Academic Performance Report. Dr. Bessenice.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Perez, members of the board. Our team will be presenting this. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Our CNI team will be presenting this portion of the taper report. Hello, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Perez, and community. We are going to present the taper report. All right, thank you. We are going to present to you the Texas Academic Performance Report, known as a taper. This is what the cover page looks like. In your package, you should have a copy of it as well. All right, so the taper report is released in December. It is comprised of 8 sections. The taper report includes a report for the district as well as for every individual campus in the district. It also has the team's financial report as well as the accreditation status. Additionally, we have the campus performance objectives. It also has the report of the violent and criminal incidents reported on the campuses. It contains the student performance in post-secondary institutions. And it also has the progress towards the board adopted HB3 goals, if those are included. And it includes the glossary as well. So for the purpose of tonight, we will be focusing especially on the academic data. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Vera and she'll go over the elementary data.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to start with the reading language arts. So I'm just going to sum up what we see here today. We've seen a lot of growth in our elementary reading language arts. There was a 10 to 24% increase for all grade levels in approaches, a 14 to 18% increase in meets, and a 9 to 13% increase in masters. As we look at the math data, we had an 8 to 27% increase in approaches, a 3 to 17% increase in meets. We did have in masters, we did have some variance in meets. For growth, we had a decrease in 4th grade, but we did have an increase in 3rd through 5th grade. Now we will be looking at middle school and high school.
All right, for the middle school data, again, what you see on this slide, you see 4 years of the taper data. Now, this particular taper report that you have in your packet really compares 21 to the 22 school year. And so as we look at the middle school reading data, you see that at 6th grade, at your approaches grade level, there was an increase of 7 points when you compare it to the 2021 data. At the meets grade level, there was an increase of 16 percentage points, and at the masters, there was an increase of 9 percentage points. In 7th grade reading, at the approaches, there was an increase of 10 percentage points when you compare it to the 2021 data. And there was an increase at the meets with about 4 percentage points. And at the masters, there was an increase of 1 percentage point. In 8th grade, I think 8th grade is a great that was great data there. We had an increase of 29 percentage points from the previous year. At the approaches, at the meets, there was a 22 percentage point increase, and at the masters, there was a 14 percentage increase from the previous year. In middle school math, again, you see all those blocks in green. That means in all areas we had increases all the way across. Sixth grade had a 10 percentage point increase at the approaches grade level. There was a 16% percentage point increase at the meets and a 7% increase at the masters. In seventh grade math, we had an 11 percentage point increase at the approaches, 9 percentage point increase at the meets, and a 2% increase at the masters. Eighth grade, again, they rocked it. We had a 39 percentage point increase at the approaches from the previous year. We had a 28% increase at the meets and an 8% increase at the masters. Looking at the high school data, reading language arts, again, you see all those blocks in green. That indicates that there was increases all through those levels of performance. English 1 had a 6 percentage point increase from the previous year. At the meets, they had a 4%, and at the masters, they had a 2% increase. English 2 had a 6 percentage point increase at the approaches, a 4% increase at the meets, and a 4% increase at the masters. Now, algebra. Algebra, we had a 21 percentage increase at the approaches grade level. We had a 15% increase at the meets and a 6% increase at the masters. Again, increases all the way across in those levels of performance. Now, the science data. This is science data in 5th, 8th, and biology. In 5th grade, we had a 19 percentage point increase at 5th grade at the approaches grade level. We had a 3% increase at the meets, and we did go down 1 percentage points at the master. 8th grade science had a 5% increase at the approaches, 4% increase at the meets, and 4% increase at the masters. Biology, we did go down 3 percentage points at the approaches, so that box should not really be green, should be kind of orangey. And then we did not have an increase at the meets, however, we did not lose any points either. And so for the masters, we did increase 2 percentage points. Social studies. We have 8th grade social studies data. At the approaches, we did not see an increase. We remained at 23%. At the meets, we did have 1 percentage point increase, and at the masters, we had another percent increase at the masters. For U.S. history, at the high school, we had a 3% increase at the approaches. We remained the same at the meets at 46%. However, that is 6 strong meets at 46%. And then we had a 20% at the masters. All right, so now we have all this data, and what are our next steps? So I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Farah.
So as we have discussed before, we are continuing to look at data using our DDI protocol, whether it's our benchmark data, our common assessment data, and or our December data once that comes in for the start. We are continuing to work on text-dependent questions using a strategy of claim, evidence, and reasoning. We have ensured that our district math coach is out on campuses providing support to teachers during PLC, doing walks with our teacher advisors and with our administrators. We are also ensuring that our students are completing their data trackers and that we are setting goals. For instance, we have met with all of our students and we're setting goals for this benchmark that we're about to have. We're also working on spiraling high frequency teams, and then we're going to start with a rock and review when it comes to STAR time. Finally, we are in the process of benchmarking our students. This is just a schedule of what we are doing, and we will be presenting that data at a later time. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, you're more than welcome to ask any of us.
On that rocking review, what's that consist of?
So what we did was the ITCs, myself, and the math coach, we attended a lead forward training. And it's a 10-day review, and we're gonna be utilizing different strategies based on the high frequency teaks. So it's gonna be fun. We've already started rolling out some of the activities.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So from what I gather here, there was only one decrease and then one that stayed the same, right? The rest of the categories were all increases, no matter how small they were, still increases, correct?
We did have several increases. I believe it was biology in the approaches area and, well, for instance, 5th grade science at masters, we did go down by 1 percentage point, but overall, we did have increases from the previous school year to this taper report.
So I'd like to congratulate all the administration, all the principals that are here, and please thank your teachers, because that's where it all happens, right between
Yes,
the
sir.
walls. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
The scores that are listed here, I mean, the percentages, that's the number of students who performed at that level divided by the number of test takers at that level.
Yes, sir.
All right, test takers, pretty consistent year to year. I mean, is anyone watching to make sure that there's not some kind of strange anomalies? If for some reason you have a whole lot less people take a test, it could be skewed one way or another. I mean, I'm not asking for that information. I certainly don't want, anyway, I just want to make sure somebody's eyes kind of on that.
Right. We're monitoring the test takers with participation rates, and we're very consistent with those.
That's how we're looking at the benchmarks too, because we were saying, okay, how many students actually took the test? How many should be taking the test?
Now, when we did a beginning of year assessment, correct? Was it pretty consistent with what you're seeing now or in this paper?
No, sir, and the reason is because it's a new assessment with new question types, and the reading language arts assessment has changed dramatically.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
When we did that beginning of year assessment, we did not do that online.
Yes,
Oh,
we did.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All of our tests have been online. Yes, sir. We are also in the middle of practicing online through the Cambian system. And it's called TFAR testing, but that's how we're getting our at-bats and practice as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's a very different test. I mean, the alignment, the expectations, just the fact that they're all having to take it online. So, we are hopeful, that our data will look as good as it did this past year, but we understand that there are other hoops we're having to jump through. And we thank our teachers and our staff for, it's stressful. It's very stressful, especially after coming off of a productive year this past year, and now they change
Yes, definitely.
expectations. Yeah. So, yeah.
I believe so.
Scary situation.
It's gonna be scary for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're adjusting, and we have strategies in place. And so I'm excited about that. The teachers are implementing our strategies. The ITCs have worked with our teachers on the strategies. So it is good that we're using them. It's just, I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful.
And our principals and assistant principals have done a fantastic job of implementing the benchmarks, because they are trying to mirror it exactly like how the test is gonna be, the
Yes.
stamina, things like that. So I know that is a very stressful thing too for our principals, assistant principals. We really appreciate you.
Any further questions from the board?
I think I had already pointed it out to the bios, and it was just a minor error on the score that you reported.
I got kind of happy with the grade. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was told.
I'm sorry. We did have a decrease in English to B's. We did increase by 4, not increase, but again, I was happy with
It's
the
okay.
grade.
The grade was good.
Thank you all so much.
All right.
All the scores are awesome.
Yep.
Hats off to you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on the taper, so if there's any questions from the public or any comments from the public in regard to taper, you'll certainly receive those now. If not, I'm going to adjourn the public hearing at 5:18 p.m. We will resume the regular board meeting at 5:30 p.m.
No.
You did. Needed.
It is 5:30 p.m. on Monday, February the 27th, 2023. I call this regular meeting of Kingsville Independent School District to order. We'll have a roll call. Joe Morellis.
Here.
Martin Chapa.
Here.
David Garcia. David Garcia. Elizabeth. No. Joseph Reese.
Here.
James Glusing. James Glusing. Delma Salinas.
Here.
And Brian Coupal is here. Let the record show there is a quorum of board members present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551 of the State of Texas Open Meetings Act. We move now to the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting will be live video streamed. And we move now to item number 4, which is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Morellis, seconded by Mr. Chapa. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries 3, 4, 5, 0. Item number 5, public participation. Ms. Pettis, do we have anyone who wishes to address the board?
No, sir.
We move now to item number 6, communication from administration. Item 6A, recognition of elementary and secondary campus teachers of the year. It's going to be presented by Dr. Holt, and it can be found on page 3 of our packet.
Good evening, board members, Mr. President, and tonight we are recognizing KISD Campus Teachers of the Year. Teacher of the Year candidates are nominated based on the following: exceptional dedication, knowledge, and skill as a teacher, inspiration to students of all backgrounds and abilities to learn, respect and admiration of students, parents, and colleagues, poised, articulate, energetic, and engaging professionals in the classroom. The district of the teacher selection process is that they are selected by their peers on their campuses, and they participate in the application process, which involves written essays and interviews, which, by the way, the interviews are tomorrow, February 28th. The written and oral scores are then scored by the Teacher of the Year committee members and determined 2 district teachers of the year, 1 district elementary teacher of the year, and 1 district secondary teacher of the year. The district teachers of the year winners will be recognized at an awards banquet on May 25th, 2023. They will also move on to regional and state level competition. Congratulations for being nominated to represent your campus for Kingsville ISD Teacher of the Year, and good luck. Principals, as I call your campus, please come forward to introduce your campus Teacher of the Year nominee, and teachers, please remain for pictures of the board. Carroll Elementary.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Bettis, members of the board. Carroll Elementary is proud to announce and introduce our 2022-2023 Campus Teacher of the Year, Ms. Kimberly Ochoa. Ms. Ochoa was born and raised here in Kingsville. She received her bachelor's and master's degree from Texas A&M University, Kingsville. Ms. Ochoa has been with KISD for the past 15 years. She is currently an adaptive education teacher. Ms. Ochoa is also involved within the community. She not only educates students in the school system, she also educates students at her church. She has a great love for her students and all students in general. Ms. Ochoa always gives 110% to her job and her students. She goes above and beyond and does anything and everything necessary in order for her students to succeed. Ms. Ochoa is a great asset to our campus. We are very grateful to have her as part of our staff. Congratulations, Ms. Kimberly Ochoa, for being named 2022-2023 Carroll Elementary Teacher of the Year.
next campus representative, Harvey Elementary.
Oh, wait, she's gonna bring, and we're thinking.
Good evening, board members. I'm Dr. Pettis. I would like to announce this year's Harvey's 2022-2023 Teacher of the Year is Mrs. Jennifer Spahn. And Mrs. Jennifer Spahn has been a teacher at Harvey for 8 years. And when I was a fourth grade teacher, she was my mentor coming into KISD. So this is, to me, this is a very exciting honor to be able to announce her as our Teacher of the Year. She is a UIL sponsor. She is our running club sponsor this year. She has been involved in many different things over her 8 years. And no matter what, at the end of the day, the important thing is she always expects our students to do their very best when they are in her class. And so this is Miss Jennifer Spahn, Harvey's Teacher of the Year.
Our next campus representative is Pettis Elementary.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Bettis, and board members. It is my honor to introduce this evening our Teacher of the Year for Jesus Bettis Elementary, Ms. Daniela Longoria. Ms. Longoria has been at Bettis Elementary for 3 years, and she has, she's a kind person, she's respectful, she's professional, and as a person, she brings that into her professional role as our fourth grade classroom teacher. Ms. Longoria is cognizant of all of her students' needs, and she's there for them in all ways. She is also a UIL sponsor. She is also coaches UIL, different events as well. Mrs. Longoria is just awesome, and we truly are pleased that she was chosen as Teacher of the Year. And thank you so much, Ms. Longoria. Congratulations.
Our next campus is Gillette Middle School.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Bettis, and members of the board. It is my honor to present Gillette Middle School's 2022-2023 Teacher of the Year, Ms. Yolanda Sanchez. Ms. Yolanda Sanchez has given 26 years of service in education, 7 of those years with KISD. She upholds all of the values and commitments that we have set forth for our campus. She leads with her heart and advocates for not only her students, but all of the students on our campus. She does so with grace, compassion, and the heart of a true servant. We couldn't be more blessed than we are to have Ms. Sanchez not only on our campus, but as our Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
And Jim King High School. Yeah.
Good evening, board and Dr. Pettis and trustees. It is my honor to introduce you to the Jim King Teacher of the Year, Mr. Corey Scarborough.
Mr. Scarborough has been teaching at HMK for 7 years. He's currently certified in composite science 7th through 12th grades. And with this degree, he can teach in all capacities of science, all different subjects. And currently, he's also the girls soccer coach for both varsity and junior varsity. He's received many accolades while teaching, specifically in his second year teaching. He won Most Inspirational Teacher from the Elks Lodge. This fall, he organized the inaugural HMK Winterfest for the 2022-23 school year, which many of y'all attended. Great successful event with many student organizations participating. And get ready, he plans to also start organizing the spring festival as well. So we'll see you out there when that happens. All right, sir. Mr. Scarborough, some of his future goals are that he wants to either pursue the counseling masters or also administration. His goal is to have a positive impact as many students as he can. So that's where he feels like his trajectory is going for sure. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Corey Scarborough.
Thank you.
Oh, the AEP.
Good afternoon, Board President and trustees and Dr. Perez. For DAP, the teacher of the year is Miss Melinda Mejia. She's here by any chance? She's an amazing teacher. She is always there for the kids. She does amazing work and she always goes that extra mile, and we're truly blessed to have her in our district.
AIR program.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, and Dr. Bettis. I am honored and blessed to present our first nominee for the CARES program nomination, Teacher of the Year, Coach Marco Contreras. Will you stand up, sir? Mr. Contreras has been in education for 19 years. 4 of those years have been with KISD. He's also one of our awesome soccer coaches as well. At CARE, you have to have the heart to work with our students. And Mr. Contreras has that heart of gold. He has that compassion and that dedication to our students. His priorities are to build positive relationships, first and foremost, academics, motivate students, and help them graduate. He's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Coach.
That is all of our campus teachers of the year. Could we please have another round of applause?
All right, we move now to item 6B, which is the superintendent's update. This can be found on page 4 of our packet. Dr. Bettis.
Okay, I wanted to give an update on the yearbooks. I did send a robocall about this for the high school, and I know they started making an announcement, but there will be a prepaid hard copy version of the yearbooks starting March 1st through March 31st, in which they will be able to either pay online on our website, cash, or money order. And in case y'all had any questions about that. Okay. The second thing is the safety intruder audits. I want to commend Gillette Middle School and Harrell Elementary. They passed with no findings at all. So way to go. And then the last thing I wanted to follow up on was the H&K lockdown that happened on Thursday. I could not be more proud of our safety team, of our administration, of all the teachers and staff that were there that day. It ended up being a really good drill, and there are some things that we want to tweak, but it's very minor things. Today, the Texas Ranger that was there, he called me. I thought there was something wrong. And he said, I really need to talk to you. I talked to him, and he said he just wanted to commend all of the staff that was there that day, because it ran as smoothly as it could have possibly run. And so we are going to take, we're going to take every report seriously. We're not going to reveal any of the specific details, because we don't ever want students feeling like embarrassed to report something if it doesn't come out, as I guess a legitimate reason. Okay, so we're going to take them seriously. We're going to investigate. And I want to thank our students for stepping up to the plate and also protecting everybody on the campus. So parents, thank you so much for your support. And I just had to say that. And thank you to all the law enforcement that showed up. We really feel protected here in Kingsville, Texas. I'll tell you that, but the cavalry does come out. So everybody that had seen, or heard about it from friends around the state were just like, Kingsville knows how to protect their kids and their teachers, and I really appreciate that. Those are all the updates I had. I didn't know if y'all wanted to have any questions or say anything.
The only thing I'd like to say is that from my office window, I can see the high school. And there was obviously a lot going on that day. And there was obviously a lot of parents reacting in various ways. When you see that many vehicles, when you see that kind of activity at a school, historically, it doesn't have a happy ending. And this one did. And to those parents out there who are throwing some rocks, I'd say, your children are safe. Be glad that your children are safe. I commend the administration, the staff, and we owe a debt of gratitude to our law enforcement officials. Very pleased with the way things have come out this week in terms of safety.
Thank you.
We move now to item 6C, results-driven accountability, RDA. This will be presented by Dr. Farah and Ms. Ebert. This can be found on page 5 to 18 of our packet, and I believe we have an updated PowerPoint that was handed to us also.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Pettis, and board members. This is a report for results-driven accountability. It covers 3 different areas: emergent bilingual, and other special populations, and special education. Tonight, we will focus on emergent bilingual and special education. So basically, results-driven accountability is graded through a determination level. You have a 1 through 4 grade. Your 1 is 100 and your 4 is the failure. And so if you're looking at the way that we're graded, it's based off of an overall score. And so a determination level 1, you do not have to do anything. 2, you have to submit a strategic support plan. 3, a strategic support plan with a targeted review, as well as then a DL4, which would be the strategic support plan with a intensive review from TEA. And so when we look at the different areas, whether it's emergent bilingual or the special education, it's going to provide you with the different aspects of what's required. So emergent bilingual will do a DL4 or DL3. We'll have to submit a strategic support plan with check-ins with TEA. Special education from DL2 to DL4 has to do the strategic support plan with check-ins to TEA. When you look through the PowerPoint, you'll notice that there are different indicators. Those different indicators are given a PL level. That PL level is called a performance level. That gives you a 0 through 4. So 0 being the best, 4 being the worst.
and they rate them off of cut points. You also have a handout that we also provided you that shows the difference in the cut points as well as what our grade was with our performance level and where we ranked within that cut point. I'm gonna hand it over to Dr. Barrett so she can go over the emergent bilingual.
Oh, over this. A little short. Good evening again. I'm Dr. Farah, and I'm going to go over the RDA for emergent bilingual students. We are a DL3 for emergent bilingual. Emergent bilingual has 12 different indicators. We are going to hone in on 3 of, oh, sorry, let me flip the thing. We are going to hone in on 3 of the performance indicators, one of which is STAR for the EOC. And if you look at your handout, we're specifically going to look at English 1 and English 2. That is where we received a performance level rating of 3. Our rate was a 20.6, and our goal to hit was a 60 to 100. We're also looking at the TELPAS reading beginning proficiency level rate, which is the next one below. We are a performance level 3 in that. Our rate is a 16.3, and it should be anywhere between a 0 and a 7.5. So we were a little high on students who are in the beginner range of the TELPAS. And finally, we're going to look at the TELPAS composite rating level for students in the US multiple years. We were at performance level 2. Our rate is a 35.3, and we need to be anywhere between a cut point of 0 and 19.4. So what this looks at is on TELPAS, the composite rating. If they've been in US schools for, I want to say 5 or more years, they are expecting students to be at an advanced or an advanced high level, and we have a high number of students that are still at a beginner and intermediate level. And so we received a level 2 for that. Now, part of our strategic support plan are our goals. So what you're seeing here is what, oh, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
I know that it changed some lexicon. What does emergent bilingual mean?
Emergent bilingual, it's the same as our ELs, English language learners. They just changed it to emergent bilingual students. So when they enroll in our schools, if their home language is something other than English, we have to assess our students. And then depending on how they rank, they're either, they either qualify for our emergent bilingual program, which we have an ESL program here in Kingsville ISD, or they do not qualify. They're considered fluent English speakers.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So these are our goals that we turned in or submitted to TEA. So it's basically our strategic support plan condensed. And just giving you the high points of our strategic support plan. We have 3 goals, 1 for each of our areas of need. So we are looking to increase the approaches score from 35% to 41% in English 1, and from 42 to 48% in English 2 as measured by STAR. So that one will support indicator 7 for English 1 and English 2. Our second goal is to decrease by 3% the rating of beginner according to TELPAS. So right now we have too high of a number of students rating beginner on TELPAS reading. And we want to decrease that number because the lower the number, the better the performance level rating we receive. Our third goal is by the end of 22, 23, We want to increase by 3% our number of students that meet the advanced composite score according to TELPAS. So on the next slide. Oh. I'm sorry? We have a total from pre-K to 12 of about 95 students total. But, well, yeah, on here, it's a different number because it was last year's, but overall, we have a total number of about 95 ELs. Or emergent bilingual students, I'm sorry. Our strategies page, these are the strategies that we submitted to TEA. And so we're working on training our high school teachers in sheltered instruction. We've already held 2 trainings for that. We've worked with all of our English language arts teachers, pre-K through 12th grade, on sheltered instruction, as well as our CTE teachers. We're working with our high school English teachers on ELPs and lessons design. We're also monitoring our emergent bilingual common assessment data 3 times per year as we do our common assessments and our benchmarks. We're also ensuring that our high school English teachers are tracking the goals of our emergent bilingual students. Across the district, we have trained all of our teachers in Summit K-12. It's a program that we're using through the Education Service Center, and we're going to be reviewing that data. So that program, what it does is it mimics the TELPAS, and it gives our emergent bilingual students opportunities to practice utilizing the headsets because they get tested in listening and speaking, reading and writing, and all of that is on the computer this year. And then we're working with our all of our English teachers on what the TELPAS reading is about. Like, what does it contain? What do we need to do to help our students to be more proficient and to grow in TELPAS? So we've been working with our assistant principals as they are over the emergent bilingual / ESL program on their campuses, and they're helping to monitor the program. So that's the emergent bilingual portion. Do you have any questions for me?
K-12 Summit. You said all your teachers got trained?
All of my ESL teachers did get trained. The assistant principals went to the service center, they were trained, and then they rolled it out to their campuses. Yes, ma'am.
So on this training, do people come in from the service center to just to check or benchmark on our teachers? No,
it's online, and
Okay.
so, yes, I'm working with the service center to pull diagnostic reports to monitor. I've already met with TEA twice, and I have another meeting coming up, and then I'll be submitting artifacts based on our strategies and goals with TEA.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Great, thank you.
Okay. So it's not, is that okay? Everybody can hear me still? Okay. So for results-driven accountability for special education, there are 18 different indicators. And so when we're looking at the results-driven accountability for special education, our determination level was a 4. And so one of those aspects you might be thinking we were a determination level 4 last year as well. And yes, that is the case. And so with the handout that you received, you also received a determination level for strategic support plan data for special education to show you our gains that we made from last year to this year. And so as you can see on that table, it shows you that we made a 12.4% increase from math on the STAR 3 through 8. And then on the STAR reading 3 through 8, we made a 6% passing gain. And so this is looking also at testers for special education and failures is what this data is actually looking at. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Last page. Yes, ma'am. And for your science 3 through 8, there was an increase of 15% for the passing rate. For EOC biology, there was a 1.6% passing rate increase. For ELA 1 and 2, we did have a decrease of 6.9% on our passing rate, but as you will notice, the increase of students from 2021 to 2022
where we had 47 students taking the ELA 1 and 2. And in 2022, we had 113 students taking the ELA 1 and 2 test as special education students. Our dropout rate has stayed consistently increasing from a 3.3% to an 8.1%. And so going over our our performance levels, looking at mathematics, reading, and science, those are all performance levels of 3. So if you turn back one page, you'll notice a cut point for that. It varies with math and reading being from 70 to 100%, and we're in the 36% range for both of those areas. For science, we are at a 3 for our performance level. The cut point is 65 to 100%, and again, we're in the 30% range. For social studies, we are at performance level 4. We are at a 17% rate, and the cut point is 65 to 100%. For our EOC passing, for Algebra 1, we were at 2, so we're doing okay. We're still working on those pieces, but they're not a part of our actual plan to TEA. We're looking at biology and English 1 and English 2 because they are performance level 4. So when looking at the performance level 4 for biology, the cut points are 75 to 100%, and we're sitting at 29.4%. For English 1 and English 2, we're at 18.6%, and the cut point is 60 to 100%. For the last area that we targeted on our strategic support plan would be the special education annual dropout rate, and we are a performance level of 3. The cut point is 0 to 1.8%, and we are at 8.1% currently. Our goals for the different areas that we have targeted are that we will increase 6% in all areas for all of our EOCs and our 3 through 8 testing areas. For special education dropout rate, we are wanting to move from a performance level of 3 down to a performance level of 2. That would be great. And that would be a decrease to a 5.2% dropout rate, which would be equal with around the state dropout rate.
So how many kids would that mean for it to come down to a 2? We covered how many?
I think I figured it out to be about 3 students. Yes, ma'am. So our strategies that we did submit for the professional development and instructional strategies and participation in our PLCs from our special education teachers during those general education PLCs, so that they are receiving the same information on what is required for the students as the general education teachers are receiving. Looking at the data digs and participating in that progress monitoring for students so that those STAR scores can show growth. Monitoring the students' progress through random pull of IEPs. This will allow us to ensure that they're receiving the right services that they're needing in order to show that growth as well. Implementation of curriculum resources so that they would be able to utilize activities simultaneously in that general education classroom, as well as if they're receiving pull-out services or if they're needing that modification during the general education time as well. Reviewing and updating policies and procedures that we have to post online. This is a requirement from TEA for our strategic support plan. Whenever you're a DL 2, 3, or 4, you have to look at your policies, procedures, and have those revised, updated, and then resent to TEA so that they can look at them. For our annual dropout rate, we're looking at transition as a huge piece of dropout rate. And so really trying to hone in on that transition services aspect of what it looks like for a child to stay for the 4 years, starting in 7th grade, and then continuing on that plan, looking at their career, what is it that they really want to do, and looking at that college readiness as well, and ensuring that we have them in the right tracks, the right classrooms, programs of studies, and all of those types of things so that they want to come back every year and they're not dropping out and not returning. Also, the implementation of a program that is teaching our students that are having some more severe behaviors. It also has an employability track built into it, and it certifies them as employable once they graduate from that specific program. And then also, again, monitoring is another large piece of it. We are working with our PEAMS coordinator to ensure that we are tracking the dropout rate and that we know where the students have gone and that they really have gone where they say they've gone. So plans for 2022 and beyond. So as I stated earlier, we were a DL4 last year. So some of this started last year and is going to continue with that continuous improvement plan. So that strategic support plan, both for emergent bilinguals and special education, is considered a continuous improvement plan. And all districts are actually should be doing them. And so continued reconstruction, started this last year and are moving forward with a lot of the plans. We have added the inclusion support and training with the resource for in-class support and those materials that we're utilizing, and then the transition program to support students as they enter high school and start on a path to life after high school. And then refining a bunch of the other areas that were also started. And then the last one. And are there any questions for me regarding special education?
Approximately, what's our special ed population?
It's approximately 514.
That's out of 27, 28.
We are sitting at about 21%.
We have about 2,700, 2,800 total.
About 2715.
You know, the neat little trick that they do to y'all is you get this in January and February, you got 3 months left for the 2023 before you get graded again. Gut feel for the amount of improvement that you think realistically we could see at the end of this year?
Realistically,
Yes, ma'am.
I think we will be a DL4 again next year. We are making huge gains, and the data does show that we are making those steady progress pieces. So the growth that we are seeing is huge. Overall, considering we have consistently not seen the growth in the past. And so for us to see the amount of growth that we have seen over the last year is instrumental in where this is going. So I do see a trend in, but as with the star changing,
Right.
a little bit of a problem for us. Due to the amount of writing and the amount of spelling and the amount of I think not multiple choice that the students are going to have to be answering. That is going to be a huge uphill battle for our students in special education, especially those students with dyslexia, dysgraphia. They are going to have some very strong difficulties with the new redesigned STAR.
Yeah, there's general criticism many times from the public that, you know, a couple of years ago, they changed the testing, they changed the method of grading and accounting for the different quadrants, and we've been through a myriad of this over the years. Y'all had systemic issues to deal with, and that you're still dealing with, and I get that. Is there, and there's a not a trick question or anything, and there are going to be the critics that say you're blaming it on the changes in the test, and is there going to be any way to truly monitor any of that to know what really, and I guess more important than that, as long as truthfully in y'all's guts you believe that we are still making progress, then I don't really care what the tests say. I mean, the scores say, and I know that it's going to be very, very difficult for, excuse my word, for the routine students on a STAR and throw in a special ed component, and I get it. And I'm not giving anyone a pass and any of that, but I do think that's something that y'all need to continuously remind us, the board, and the public about, that this change is gonna be pretty significant.
And the increase in the number of students that are serving now.
Is it growing? Do you anticipate expanded population growing? Do you have
Yes,
referrals?
so our referrals currently are sitting across the district, at approximately 60.
It's a lot. Why?
A lot of it is through dyslexia.
It's dyslexia, it is the aspect that we have had a lot of students return that haven't been in school for 2 years.
But like with the dyslexia, giving the parents a choice to either go 504 sped.
Yes.
So once the evaluation is completed, so IDEA has changed the rules of where we're allowed to evaluate for special education versus 504, that we no longer do. But we do evaluate and then look at what is needed based off of the prong questions 1 and 2.
But I
So-
know at the beginning, the parents are given a choice if they want to go either through sped ed or 504. So that
Parents are no longer given a choice for the dyslexia testing has to go through an evaluation.
it does have to go through an evaluation. However, it is my understanding that at the beginning, when you offer the parent a referral, they do have a choice at that point to deny it through sped ed and go to 504.
So at the very, very beginning,
At the
when
very, very beginning.
When-
they do
well,
have a choice.
at the very beginning, when the information changed as far as what dyslexia, was it special education or was it not special education? It was then given as a choice, and now IDEA and the information that has come down from TEA is that it's a full and individual evaluation. And then it's determined based off of that evaluation, whether or not the student should be receiving services through 504 or through the special education program. And so when we're looking at that need for specially designed instruction, that is what is the determining factor as far as whether or not, because now the state of Texas sees dyslexia as a specific learning disability. It's no longer
I
just,
understand, but I know, because I oversee it in our district, and I know that's what PA does. At the very beginning, it does go through sped ed.
It does.
But if the parent says, I don't want a referral through special ed, I want the testing to be done through 504. They have that option to do it at that time and to decide.
Well, they're discouraging that choice. They're encouraging that we test through,
Just-
yeah, for that part, and then, yeah, for the full and evaluation piece of it. And then after that, we determine which way to go.
and then we're not calling it a special education referral anymore, it's just a referral for an evaluation. So whether you're referring an evaluation for autism or dyslexia or specific learning disability, whether you're referring for OHI, it's just a referral for an evaluation. It's not necessarily a referral to SPED anymore, because at one point in time, we used to refer to it as a referral to special education. And then they were evaluated and placed in special education if they qualified. And now we have changed it to a referral for an evaluation, and then it's determined based off of that evaluation, what happens at that point.
But that's a huge number of referrals. I cannot believe 60 referrals, even though it's dyslexia. I mean, what
No,
happens-
there's not all dyslexia. We have OHI.
With the RTI, we have a good RTI process.
Yeah, one thing I know that, because I've had several districts nearby have asked, if they hear some good things about what's going on here at special ed services here at KISD, and they're asking if students can come and enroll here. And more students, like they said, have been enrolling lately. They want to come to us because of special ed services and we deny it. So that's also adding to it. We had to open up those units, the early childhood education units, because they weren't doing a child find before as far as those little ones. So we opened up those last year.
The numbers are huge.
They are.
I've never-
Well, and we're also seeing, students that have come back that have been homeschooled for the last 2 to 3 years. And so we're working with those students as well. So we're seeing some gaps there. And we are working on our RTI and TSS systems, and we are progress monitoring through our in-class as well as through other areas, our STAR AR, we are doing progress monitoring to support our students that way as well. And working in small groups. I know. And we're also working on strategies to build our phonics and phonemic awareness. So we brought in Integrity as that additional support for phonics and phonemic awareness, especially because we're seeing that need at the lower grade levels. And that's going to help us if we start really closing the gaps there, that we're going to see a difference as we move forward as well.
And one of the things we're looking at for summer is to do a more of a reading academy for those students who are severely behind in their reading levels. That's one thing, but also the dismissal process. We started talking to the older grade levels also about the dismissal process. You might want to talk about that a little bit.
So I just want to also say really quickly, that does include our ECI referrals. It also includes from Head Start as well. So it's not just from our school itself. We've also had some parent referrals as well on top of the schools itself. And minus they're 3 years old, but they're not in Head Start. They're not in, they didn't ever received any ECI services. And so parents are now realizing through Child Find and the resources that we've been pushing out through the community that they can come and request those services as well. And so we have some of those referrals in the queue. So that is another reason for that. And then looking at students and reevaluating them for dismissal once they are no longer needing services and that they have met that area that they no longer need the specially designed instruction. They still may have a disability and they still may need some accommodations, but truly looking at those students being dismissed from special education and either going just general education or having that 504 plan so that they still do have those accommodations that they're needing. And then we did print out, and I do have, if y'all like a copy of it, the numbers that have shown over the course of the last 5 years from 2017 to current. And so I have that, nobody else does. It just was if y'all had the question of how much have we grown, I had it ready for y'all. So if you want that as well, I do have it.
Numbers of students, is that what you're talking about?
Number of special education students that have grown over the last couple of years. Yes, sir.
I think that would be good for us to know. I'm just worried because that's a large number.
Yes, ma'am.
You all.
Yes, ma'am. No, you are correct. It is a very large number. And it is ever growing. Every day I look at it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I worry about also, but at your level, what you're doing, but then what's happening in the classrooms and the level they need, not only the classroom teachers, you have paraprofessionals, and you have all these other people that are gonna need to come into play with this number. And you're looking at 60. I don't know how many will qualify of the 60, but still that the number of 514 is high. So, in order to meet the needs of these students and the programs, it's gotta be bigger at the lower level to teach these kids in the classrooms, paraprofessional, things like that. Speech, whatever it may be, because that's a huge number. I don't know if it's for example, speech, are they overwhelmed?
It's very overwhelming.
It's are they getting the quality time they need to address those needs and help those kids is my concern, because it's again, we see these numbers, but then, as they grow, if they're in the classrooms, so that's where we need a lot of support there.
And then honestly, I mean, what does special ed do different than regular ed? Really not much. Well, I mean, the support might be what? Inclusion, with y'all have resource, inclusion.
Well, and I just wanted to add also, I'm Laura Zimmerman, the Director of Special Education. I just wanted to ensure that, for one, I also answered or added to the answer for Mr. Kufal. I just wanted to ensure the board, president, and superintendent and parents as well, that of course the STAR is only one measurement. And so the STAR does not define our special needs kiddos or their parents or their teachers and paras working so hard to work with our kiddos. So because of that, we've also implemented new supplemental curriculum this year that works for our students within the units. So our ECSE kiddos, our AE students, and it really tracks their growth. Individual growth is what we're looking for. You know, STAR scores are by all means really great, but at this point, we truly are looking for that growth individually. In addition, we also just in January included another program for our inclusion students. And so that's what Ms. Giebert was talking about. As far as those students who need extra help within the classroom, we listened to our teachers, our paras, and our team as a whole was stating that they really needed more help with that differentiation within the classroom. Meaning, if I am working with 3 different students, they each need their own individualized help for different reasons. And so we were very cognizant of that when we were purchasing the curriculum and the help that we can use for our teachers to be able to access that information as soon as possible, along with our paraprofessionals, to ensure that we're really looking at those students' needs individually as well.
And because, I mean, because of the need, we can't deny services, you know, I mean, if they qualify, they qualify, and we are a public school and we welcome all students. At the same time, sometimes that hurts us in accountability, unfortunately, but we're trying to do the best we can for all students depending on their needs. We have gotten certain circumstances of kids where students are needing like intubation and things like that hadn't happened before. And so we're retraining our nurses on that as well. So we are getting some special cases that have special needs. And, you know,
I just want to close this section by saying we have definitely moved this department so far in the 2 years since I came to Kingsville to help lead this. But secondly, to answer Mr. Menendez's question about staff, Dr. Holt will look at me and smile because we are always looking at our staff to student ratio, including paras, and always recommending to move either paras or bring teachers together to serve our students. So as our students are qualifying for our classrooms and our units, we stop and pause to say, what does that number look like? Did some other students leave? Can we readdress those those individuals to another place? And so we're constantly meeting with our team as well as with HR department to determine, is there enough support for our students? And can we provide the teachers the support they need to serve every child? And that's critically important to us here at Kingsville.
And I do want to commend you for all your hard work and dedication. And I know y'all are working very, very hard. I just worry about the numbers because of the amount of work that y'all are having to do.
I understand. I think the only other comment that I can make publicly is that I always look at data, not only in Region 2, but outside of the state and of course across the country. And I am always reminded that Kingsville is still rural. We have a lot of families that are here that need our services and we welcome them to come as early as possible. The sooner we can identify them and get them in the classroom, the more growth we are going to see for their children. So as Dr. Bettis mentioned, we recently had 2 families come in. They needed specialized skilled nursing for their children. And so we're always meeting, coming to the table. How are we going to serve their children? And I can tell you that their parents have been just so welcoming and so amazed at the collaboration of this staff. And we want to continue that. And we remind each other, if it were our child, this is what we would want. So thank you.
I'm very encouraged to know that y'all have specialized curriculum now that tracks and can individually tell you the actual student growth. The STAR report's never going to brag on the special ed department ever. But feel free to bring that at any time and brag because y'all are doing yeoman's work It's not necessarily showing up in some of the state trackable numbers, but we can see it just in the comments that we hear from the public also. So thank you.
Great,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much.
All right, we move now to item 6D, 2023 and 2024 KISD budget calendar. This can be found on page 19 and 20 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Kupal and Dr. Pettis, members of the board. We're going to pull up the budget calendar here in just a second.
We're here again. The budget. Oh.
The lines that are highlighted in blue are board workshops or board meetings. So I'm going to just quickly address those 8 items. We are presenting the budget calendar tonight. Next, 2 weeks from Tuesday, we plan to bring to you the facility assessment. Now, we've already brought one of our big expenditures to you, which was the property and casualty insurance, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Another one is going to be all of the repairs and renovations that are needed in our district, and we're going to bring that in 2 weeks. And then the third big, yes, sir.
1 week from tomorrow.
1 week from tomorrow. Thank you very much. We also are conducting the KISD study for district compensation of employees. That is really the third big piece that we're going to be bringing to you as soon as KISD finishes their study, which will be near the end of May. So about the same time, then the TEA will release their funding formula. Now, we're in the second year of the biennium approved by the TEA for funding. Right now, they haven't told us how much they're going to give us for the next 2 years. They are working through their formulas. And as a matter of fact, we went on a trip with several board members and Dr. Pettis and Dr. Pessanayas and talked to several legislators about some of the issues and some of our concerns about funding. So hopefully that will come through in the next 2 weeks. They're submitting bills, and then they'll go through committees and finally to the general floor. And then by the end of May, we should have a funding formula and be able to bring to you our revenue. So you see there on 5/30 funding formula approved by TEA, then we'll know approximately how much money that we are getting. But all of that is subject to our student ADA as well. How well our students show up during the year and our different sub-ops, and we make our best educated guess based on past data, what our ADA will be for the next year. So once we have that data from KISD, we will bring to you the proposed compensation and stipend for the board to discuss. Then we are required to, at a board meeting, set a date for the proposed tax rate and budget. As before, you see those last 4 have asterisks. That's because we are subject to waiting for data from the appraisal district and from TEA. Before we can move forward and set our tax rate, we have to get the property values from the appraisal district. So as we get closer to those dates, we will let you know if those ones in asterisks will be locked in or if they need to be pushed back a week. I will take any questions that you might have.
All right, if there are no questions, then we move on to item 6E, which is the budget recap report check register for January 2023. This can be found on page 21 to 27 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
I'm just gonna bring a couple items at the top of the check register to your attention. If you look at RGO roofing and construction, $74,000. This was an excess of $200,000 project that was begun really in September, October, really the materials arrived. So if you, this project is almost complete. All we need is one more vent. Then this project will be complete. So there will be one more payout on the check register. And then this project will be complete. And again, the maintenance department, it has been very well received. It's been needed probably for the last 15 to 20 years that they've had leaks in the maintenance department. And it's been needed for a long time. We've also done some repairs on many roofs at the campuses. We're going to be bringing some long-term roofing needs to you in 1 week as well. If you look at the second one, Lion, Barter, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, we paid them $67,000 for the property value study. And that seems like a lot of money, but when you put it in perspective, they increased the district revenue by $900,000. We pay them 7.5% of whatever they are able to increase the district revenue. Unfortunately, this is a song and dance that is needed every year. The appraisal district and the comptroller every year, their values are so different from one another. And unfortunately, we're funded based on what the comptroller applies, and we collect revenues based on what the appraisal district what they value the property as. And this was one of the things that we talked about with the legislators in Austin. Still, unfortunately, even though they increased our funding by $900,000, we're still over $1 million short. And some of the legislators did say that they're hoping to introduce a bill that will fix this. That has been a problem for a long time. If you look at M&A technology, we ordered 1,500 Chromebooks. This is just the license part of it. There will be a bigger, closer to $200,000 for the actual Chromebooks. These are needed for the STAR test. It's going to be online now. So this will help us to make sure that our STAR testing goes off without a glitch. I will take any questions you have on any of the other expenditures you see here.
I had a question on the Chromebooks. Are they already in the classrooms now? Are we using them now?
Yes.
We are, just, right now we're working with, HMK. That's our final campus, but the rest of the Chromebooks are already on campus ready for distribution. And in, for the most part in the classroom.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions? If not, thank you, Dr. Pitts. We'll move on to item number 7, which is new business. Item 7A, by common consent, the board agrees to consider as one action item the following. This can be found on page 28 to 32 of our packet. The approval of the waiver of tuition for transfer students for the 2022-2023 school year. Is there a motion to approve that waiver? Motion made by Ms. Salinas. Second by Mr. Ruiz. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We move now to item 8. Discussion and possible action regarding educational diagnosticians week proclamation. This can be found on page 33 to 34 of our packet. Ms. Zimmerman.
Yes, so I am proud to announce that the week of March 6th through the 10th of 2023, we would like to be designated as Educational Diagnosticians Week. The following proclamation is being presented for the board's approval. Whereas our children's success is Texas's success. As such, it is our responsibility to ensure that young Texans are empowered with the skills and knowledge necessary to realize their full potential. This goal would not be possible without the invaluable contributions of educators and of other professionals in the field of education. Whereas educational diagnosticians work closely with children, parents, and fellow professionals to identify and evaluate a student's individual needs by using comprehensive academic assessments, psychological and aptitude tests. Educational diagnosticians are able to help advise on teaching approaches and materials necessary to best ensure that young Texans are provided the educational and skills fundamental to lifelong excellence. Whereas to highlight the many contributions of educational diagnosticians, an awareness campaign will be conducted during the month of March. Whereas Texas has no higher priority than education, and I recognize the outstanding role of our educational diagnosticians. Through their focus on young Texans, they are ensuring an even brighter future for the Texas of tomorrow. Whereas Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, has proclaimed statewide recognition of diagnosticians, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Kingsville Independent School District hereby proclaim the week of March 6th through the 10th of 2023 as Educational Diagnosticians Week. And
Can we invite any of the diagnosticians?
yes, I was going to say, we actually have our lead diagnostician, Ms. Amy Sandoval. She'd like to come up please, to represent our lead. So Ms. Sandoval is our lead diagnostician. Unfortunately, some of the others on the team had prior obligations, but we definitely thank Ms. Sandoval for all that she and the entire team do.
Okay, all right, we've heard the proclamation. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve
Motion made by Ms. Salinas,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Morales. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 9, discussion and possible action regarding National School Breakfast Week proclamation. This can be found on page 35 to 36 of our packet. Ms. Butler will present that.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent Bettis. I'm here to read this year's National School Breakfast Week proclamation. Whereas child nutrition professionals contribute to the well-being of students, preparing nutritious meal component offerings, which incorporate TDA recommended limits of fat, salt, and sugar, while providing increased fiber through fresh fruit, vegetables, and whole grains. For many students, school food service provides the only source of regular meals. And whereas school food service professionals recognize that a hungry child cannot concentrate and will not learn effectively. And whereas March 6th through 10th, 2023 has been designated National School Breakfast Week. And whereas our citizens should continue to support the school breakfast and lunch meal programs, which provide all of our students with the opportunity to consume a warm school meal so that they may perform successfully in the classroom. And whereas a continued and combined effort must be made by parents, schools, and community to work together to acknowledge the significance of the school lunch program every day. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Trustees of the Kingsville Independent School District, make a commitment to the school lunch and breakfast programs and urge all citizens to join the support and recognize the importance of ensuring that school children obtain a nutritious, well-balanced breakfast every day by visiting their local school classrooms. Hereby proclaim the week of March 6th through 10th, 2023 as National School Breakfast Week.
All right, Board, you've heard the presentation. Is there a motion to approve this proclamation? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Ruiz,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Chapa. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Butler.
Thank you.
Item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding Texas Public School Week proclamation. This can be found on page 37 to 38 of our packet, and will be presented by Dr. Bessie Nice.
Thank you. The week of March 6th to the 10th, 2023 has been designated as Texas Public School Week. The following proclamation is being presented for board approval. Whereas the students of our state's public schools hold the promise of a successful future in their capable hands, and whereas the Kingsville Independent School District provides the tools, framework, and solid foundation that is vital toward the future of our children, and whereas the dedicated efforts of parents, educators, and community leaders will provide the necessary support and strength to our public schools, providing our children a quality education, and whereas students will attain a higher level of achievement because of the commitment to excellence and focus on continued improvement in our public schools. And therefore, be it resolved that all citizens are encouraged to reaffirm their commitment to public schools. We do hereby proclaim March 6th through the 10th of 2023 as the week we celebrate Texas Public Schools Week. We urge all citizens to support the theme, the clear choice for education, by taking the time to share with others why they choose public schools, the public education.
All right, you've heard the proclamation read by Dr. Bessie Nice. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Motion made by Mr. Ruiz. Seconded by Ms. Salinas. Any further discussion?
I have a quick question. So back in the day, I know parents were able to visit on campus. Is that no longer possible?
Right now, we're still on the safety first. And so the teachers and staff, and actually the principals, have started looking at ways to involve parents, maybe where it's not such a big crowd going in, especially during lunch, because that takes more staff to have to check. If anybody has anything with them, etc. So we're slowly trying to open the doors even more so, but making sure that we do it in a way that's not going to overwhelm the teachers and staff as it is. We're a little, we don't have that much room either in the cafeterias. So we're looking at ways. We even talked about doing Zooms where the kids can use their laptops to have a chat or actually Zoom with their parent. Like on a Friday, we bought them some earbuds or some headsets where maybe they could read a book to them. So we're brainstorming different ways that we can do that where it's safe at the same time involving our parents.
What about open house? Will we all be having open house study?
Next week, they haven't planned an open house yet. No, and after school, no. Now we're still having like the performances, whether it's, I'm not sure. We have a calendar that I don't have it with me. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me. The calendar, what's happening next week. So the March one is coming out. Mr. Segovia, the March calendar is coming out this week.
They should be coming out by tomorrow.
Okay, so then we'll look at that to see if they've provided anything for our parents.
Thank you, Chris. Unfortunately, public education is under attack. It's actually under attack by our governor, and notably absent from this proclamation is what we've seen in the past. The governor has declared Texas Public School Week, and that's not happening this year. So this is extremely important, and I would encourage each one of us to be advocates for public education and the necessity of it. Specifically when we just sat and heard reports about the need for special education and our ability to serve those needs that you're not going to find being served in private schools. Sorry. We have a motion on the floor made by Mr. Reese and seconded by Ms. Salinas. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition. That motion carries 5-0. Item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding the renewal of the district property, casualty, and active shooter insurance. It's going to be found on page 39 through 68 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you. I think they're cheering for the insurance. Okay, we have a representative from Carlisle that I will bring up in just a second, but let me remind you where we are. We've had 2 budget workshops already on our property and casualty insurance. We know that our property insurance has increased tremendously, so we're gonna go over the 3 options that we have. We're gonna talk a little bit about the flood insurance because that was not talked about last time, and then we'll quickly review the other insurances and the breakdown for each one of the different coverages, and then have an opportunity for you to answer any questions.
Good evening, I'm Peter Model with Carlisle Insurance, and we're your property capital broker for that insurance. As a background, we have what we do is we shop your insurance with really worldwide carriers. So this is not, we're not beholden to one particular insurance carrier. We shop with multiple ones. Actually, the ones on your program is the Amherst program, and that itself is composed of, I believe, about 9 or 10 different carriers that just go to people limits. And so I'm not going to go to the background of why they've increased so much. I think you have some workshops on that as to what is going on as far as the costly catastrophes across not just the United States, but the world that affects your rate. So as far as I'll run through the 3 options that you have right now that are in front of you. The leftmost column is the current program. So the next 3 columns are the changes to it. The total insured values have increased from about 158,000 to 180,000. And it has to do with the continuing inflation of building costs, building labor, and things like that. So that is so part of your insurance would increase no matter what, just because of the increases in inflation in regards to building costs. The new item is the next line. It's the loss limit. Currently, you're insured for the full limits of $158 million. So if everything burned down all over the place, and that's the amount that you would receive. Upon the renewals, what is happening in the marketplace with the schedule as large as yours is that it becomes uneconomic to insure all the values. And so what we have presented are actually 2 different options. One that we're insuring $50 million and another one at $75 million. So we're not insuring everything. However, the reasoning behind this is that the probability of all locations burning at the same time is next to 0. And so that is why this loss limiter is introduced. The next line underneath that, the next several lines show the premiums for those options. So really the ones that change is for the properties, the next line. So at option 1, which is a loss limit of $50 million with a 5% named storm deductible, which is also $500,000 limit, the minimum on that. It's 1.27 million. The option 2, which is the next column over, the one that differs, and then you're buying more limits. You're buying 75 million limits. You still have the same 5% deductible for an named storm. Then option 3 varies. It goes back to the loss limit of option 1. However, your deductible is decreased from 5% to 3%. And currently you're at 2% named storm. So either way, the deductibles are increasing. And so we believe that these are the best options that are available without really making the premium increase even more drastically than it already has. And then the next 2 lines underneath there are the casualties, so that has to do with your general liability, auto liability, things like that. Then the active shooter, which is a minor policy. And then we also included the flood insurance, which you currently do not carry. But the reason to give that some serious consideration is because the deductible this year on flood has changed, and it has changed to the following. It has changed that the deductible has changed to the maximum NFIP limits, which is the National Flood Insurance Program, plus the $100,000. So to put that in perspective, if a flood comes in, your flood deductible is effectively $1.1 million. And so with this flood insurance in here, it would basically take care of that $1 million deductible there, the $1 million of that 1.1 million. Otherwise, we would have your high deductible.
So could you speak a little bit to if you flip the page, the schedule that has all of
Oh, sure. Okay.
And could you talk about what these values mean on the side for the building and the contents on the side over there?
Okay, so this is a schedule on the screen. It's a schedule of all your building locations. The purple ones are the ones that we quoted the flood insurance for. And as you can see, all of them are in the X shaded zone, which it doesn't sound that bad because it's a 100 to 500 year flood zone. However, for NFIP, about 20% of their claims come from those zones, from the low risk, from the moderate to low risk zones. So still, you still at risk of flooding. So those the National Flood Insurance Program's limits are a maximum of $500,000 on a building, $100,000 on contents. And so that is generally what we quoted, except for those cases where the contents are lower than that. Some of your buildings are much higher, so we just quoted the maximum that we could. And so those are the last two, the second and the third to the last column on the right. And the last column on the right is a premium for each of those. So you don't have to buy every location. You can, these are one-offs as far as the flood as individual policies. But those are the premiums for each of those locations, if you so choose to buy them.
And those are variable. If we wanted to decrease the contents on any of those buildings, we could and would proportionally decrease the premium.
You can decrease it. I don't think necessarily proportional. It would be definitely some decrease, but the building rates and the contents rates are a little bit different, and that premium is for both together. That's cool, but we can definitely decrease that. But on that one, you would run the risk that your deductible is still the full NFIP limits, which is $1 million, 500 in the building, 500 content. So if you decrease your contents by a certain amount, you basically be taking on that risk yourselves for whatever you decrease it from the 500,000, whatever is less than that.
So we have to decide tonight, so it goes into effect in 2 days. Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Mitch, what is on that schedule specifically? What is high school drama / auto mechanics? Probably about 8 down.
Okay. It has to be. It's only 7,680 square feet. So my thought is, even though it says high school drama, that it is one of those, that it really is the auto mechanics building, like one of those vocational buildings out there.
Gotcha. We go further on down to Gillette Intermediate Gym and New Main. That's the new main, that's the building.
That's the entire building of Gillette.
All right, and this is for rising water.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct.
And but you basically said that we could not or we should not go over here and cherry pick.
And also that you could, that all these premiums for each of these buildings are, they're individually quoted, so one isn't tied to another. So if you wanted to, you could, that is up to you.
And for example, and I understand the 100-year flood zone, the X code on all those, but this building, we're talking rising water. This building is elevated. This one is. Maybe not right there at that door, but there's not a whole lot that could be destroyed here. But in terms of the offices, the furniture, the data processing and electronics and all that, that's elevated. If water ever comes in here, rising water, not a hole in the roof, rising water comes in at that level, we're all gonna be in real trouble from other places. But I don't know that it makes sense to go through and specifically delete that. There could be some others that we could go through and look at, but in the grand scheme of things, when we're looking at the lowest premium possible, $1.4 million, couple $1,000 here or there is not going to make that big of a difference.
Sir, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. What was your name?
Peter Model,
Mr. Model, how long have you been working in this business?
a little bit over 20 years.
Okay, so as you know, this year's increase really hurt, right? It's really significant.
It is, this is the worst property market I've seen in my 20 years, and I've spoken to other people that have been in business longer than I have, they said they have not seen this in 40 years, this type of an increase. It's really, it's a confluence of several factors coming together that's really driving, especially coastal exposure to the property in general.
So my question is, do you see it maybe? Is there a chance of it going down or leveling off, or just whatever happened, maybe settling down some? And
I mean, historically, the property market has gone through what we call the hard market, where rates are increasing, the soft market where it's to decrease again. But right now, this one is heavily driven by the losses that they have experienced, especially in the last 5 years, where the prior 40 years, they've averaged about $1 billion plus storms a year. Now it's been in the last, I think about 5 years, it's been about 18. So there's just a lot of insured losses that are out there. And so, you know, I think you're asking me to predict more of the weather. I really don't know. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, I don't mean to be joking about it, but that's really the issue is the losses and when the storms come. So it's and they're looking at losses. It's not just hurricanes. Your rates are driven by the California wildfires. They're driven all throughout all sorts of hail losses up in the Midwest, because a lot of these insurers, they pull their losses together, and it's in the reinsurance layer. So it does the insurance that the insurance companies buy and insurance themselves, and so that's where it gets actually mixed globally. So it's an issue with the global insured risks and high losses on those the last 5 years. So I mean, at some point, I would hope that things would ease again and things would go down there, but I really don't. I mean, I don't have a guess at it, and then quite frankly, if you would ask us in November, or anybody in the property casualty world, they would not have expected the rates to increase this much, and around the January timeframe where things really started to skyrocket at that point. So I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer.
thank you.
Yeah, historically, in a lot of industries, it's been about 3 years or so when sometimes some relief comes in, but this is not unique just to school districts, and everybody's across the board. Business insurance, property casualty is going up. In fact, we're lucky ours is higher than what it was. We're also lucky that we have coverage on, for the most part, not flood necessarily, but we're talking about covering all of our buildings. There are some districts that are having to cherry pick the buildings that they're wanting to cover.
I would also like to mention a couple. There are a couple of items that we looked at. There are other optional coverages towards the bottom of the chart. One of them is we looked at the option to exclude the wind coverage at the Gomez Sports Complex. That's the FEMA dome. That would only save about $11,000, and I think there's still a outstanding question of whether or not you have to carry coverage for that or not. That needs to still be determined. On that one, I'm not sure that that's about $20 million building. So I'm sure 11,000 that's a fairly low rate for that kind of coverage there. The other option that we looked at is to reduce the contents value. Currently, you're insured at about 20. That here, I think about 27.6 million for contents. And there's an option that maybe reduce that a little bit to about 24.9 million, and then about 17 or 18,000 worth of dollars to reduce a little bit of the contents. That's an option as well. We are trying to find ways to save. It's just in this kind of insurance environment, it's a small savings compared to the total increase that it came out with.
Problem with the sports complex is that the FEMA domes probably don't need windstorm, but the complex itself, in addition to the dorms, we have all the auxiliary offices and buildings around there that should something happen, those probably would not be windstorm resistant as well as the domes might be. So I think that would be a risky proposition to go through. And in terms of the content reduction, did you identify, Dr. Pitts, like maybe $3 million or so, or $4 million worth of contents that you decided to exclude?
No, what we did is some of the buildings were insured it's a formula.
Okay.
So the buildings are insured anywhere from 15 to 25% of the value of the building is what is used to calculate the content. So the newer buildings were closer to 25%, the older buildings closer to 15%. If we moved every building in the district down to 15%, then that would reduce the content value to 24.9 million, and that would reduce the premium of that $17,783.
Any further questions by the board? If not, I would like to make a motion that we adopt option number 1 for a total premium price of $1,430,760. I second. All right, this is a motion made by Mr. Cooper, seconded by Mr. Ruiz. Any further discussion? Now, we all have to, we basically have to hold our noses and vote on it, but all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Pitts and Peters, thank you all very much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we move now to item number 12, which is discussion and possible action regarding an MOU for the Coastal Bend Food Bank for 2022 to 2023, which can be found on page 69 to 71 of our packet. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, President Cooper, Board of Trustees, Dr. Pettis. I'm here to present the MOU for the Coastal Bend Food Bank contract for 2022-23. We have been in contact with the Coastal Bend Food Bank and Care Academy are trying to partner to make the food bank backpack program available to children that attend said campus. The mission of the backpack program is to help alleviate child hunger in America by addressing the lack of food resources on weekends and holidays by children who are at risk of hunger through the provisions of groceries, snacks, items for them to prepare and consume at their place of residence. The objective of the program is to provide nutritious, healthy food to children at risk of hunger for preparation and consumption at their place of residence. And we want to distribute the food discreetly in easily accessible and safe environments. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the MOU with Coastal Bend Food Bank for the 2022-23 school year.
Make a motion to approve it.
There's been a motion to approve by Ms. Salinas. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Corrales. I do have a couple of questions. This is specific to Care Academy,
That's correct.
and CIS has probably not been real involved with Care Academy necessarily as much as they are with the individual individual campus schools. Is that correct?
They do provide some assistance to Care.
And this will take this off CIS's plate.
No, it'll be in addition to.
Okay.
That we get it from CIS.
The only other question I have is there's some monthly reports and stuff. Who's gonna have to do all that?
Ms. Moreno will be leading that charge.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
We move now to item 13, discussion of possible action regarding the 2022-2023 campus improvement plans for H.M. King High School, which is 73 through 102, Gillette Middle School, pages 103 through 129, Harvey Elementary School, pages 131 to 143, and a revised Harvey copy that was passed out tonight. Harrell Elementary School, pages 144 to 175. Pettis Elementary School, pages 176 to 203 in our packet. Dr. Bessinis.
Thank you, sir. What you have in front of you, of course, is the packet of all of the campuses. The Kingsville Independent School District campus improvement plans for all the campuses is a requirement of the Texas Education Code, Chapter 11. The campus improvement plans serve as a blueprint for how campuses will address the needs identified to improve student performance for all student groups in order to attain state standards. The three most significant pieces that I did want to share with the board is the following.
This is the first year that our district has moved into the platform of Plan for Learning. We had one very intense training with our administrators in the district, and we do plan on bringing them back in late May to begin the work in using this platform for how you see the development of our campus improvement plans. Second, these are living documents. And so our campuses look at them frequently. They must be able to review once our data is for common assessment and our benchmark are coming out, we do look at this as a living document to begin to reflect on how well our plans are performing. And then lastly, they are required to conduct progress monitoring every quarter. So as you can see on every one of the campus plans, they all have been updated through the end of February. And we will continue to work with Plan for Learning and continue to look at our assessment and be able to work with all the departments in providing campus improvement plans. Are there any questions that you might have on any particular plan?
I really like them. I really like this platform. This is what I'm used to. It's so easy to understand. It's so comprehensive.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. I know, as I mentioned, we need some additional training for our administrators that are here. They're all smiling because we did spend time with the company, but we want to invest more time with them in order to build the campus improvement plan that is developed from the district improvement plan, and then of course what the board will be providing for us as well.
I'd like to second what Ms. Salinas said. They're easy to read and to follow, and knowing that, you know, if there needs to be changes, they would document it, they can screen. But this is something really that you can see and appreciate.
The only other thing, I know this is not maybe your field, but I know that part of federal compliance, you must have them translated and put on the website. But Plan for Learning will translate them for you.
In Spanish.
In Spanish. Yes,
And
we will translate them in Spanish because both of them need to be posted on the website. But if you just call Plan for Learning, they'll do it for a fee, small fee.
So thank you for sharing that. So
Yes, in terms of progress monitoring, that's the green circles.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Every quarter.
All right, any further questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the campus improvement plans for the high school, Gillette Middle School, Harvey Elementary, Harold Elementary, and Pettis Elementary School. Is there a motion to that effect? Motion made by Mrs. Salinas and seconded by Mr. Morales. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding the 2022-2023 district improvement plan, which can be found on page 204 to 218 of our packet. Dr. Betson.
So thank you. When you see the document that we provided for board review, it is currently not in the Plan for Learning platform. And that is definitely a goal of our department to move into using the same platform for the district improvement plan. So by next year, you will be able to see a seamless plan presented to you. So what is the purpose of having a comprehensive needs assessment and the DIP? As I mentioned earlier, it is a requirement of Title I and ESSA, which is Every Student Success Act. The purpose is to identify the strengths, the needs, and the barriers. And it provides a roadmap, not only for the district, but for each campus in their improvement plans. It should be addressing our goals, activities, and action steps to improve teacher practice and student success based on that data. The district improvement plan, as we mentioned earlier, is part of a compliance that must be done yearly. It must be developed, evaluated, and revised annually in accordance with the state and district policies. It provides strategies, serve as a guide for the campuses so that they as well are following what is the district goals, and they incorporate that in each and every one of their campus goals. So there are actually 6 very specific, there are 6 very specific structures to the CNA and the CIP and our DIP, and that is the academic achievement, staff quality, school climate and safe and healthy schools, college career and military readiness, dropout prevention and graduation rates, family and community engagement, and technology. The mission statement of KISD that we're all familiar with is to provide a safe and challenging academic environment in collaboration with community partners that will empower students to achieve futures of excellence. And our vision statement is today we learn, tomorrow we lead. So moving on to the academic achievement, these are the very 3 specific overarching district goals. That 100% of our teachers with leadership support will implement the aligned core content curriculum and scope and sequence so that teachers' knowledge, lesson plans, and instructional delivery are consistent across the district. Also, by the end of 2023, 50% of our core content area teachers will attend training and implement small group instructions based on data and student needs as measured by a 6% increase in the number of students that meet on STAR. And then also by the end of May 2023, 100% of our teachers will use data to drive instruction and develop strong tier 1 instruction, accelerated instruction, and activities for all small groups. Under staff quality goals, which we'll see here is we are now under the direction of Dr. Holt for staff quality, and KISD and CNI will work on ongoing support on professional development. We will conduct 100% of instructional leadership, which is the entire team, will provide a robust professional development that results in teacher knowledge of lesson plans and instructional delivery. And also by the end of the year, a new teacher academy. Participants will complete a survey indicating 75% satisfaction with our new teacher academy topics and supports that is led by an HR department. And then next, you will see new goals that the HR department has developed, and they will now digitally maintain hiring and recommendation and documentation, personnel records, timesheets, absences, and substitute placement. So they're going all digital this year. The HR department will have a process in place to evaluate performance, track progress by department objectives, and lead the effectiveness and efficiency of its human resource operation. And it will also develop a written procedural handbook detailing all human resource functions. Next, we'll move into school climate and safe and healthy schools. So KISD will build capacity in developing a student system of support to improve teacher practice and student behavior so that 100% of our campuses have systems in place to improve discipline practices. By June, we will create a safety plan that aligns with the state requirements and ensures that 100% of our staff are aware of safety updates. We will also develop policy to include activities and strategies addressing the acquired legislation regarding dating violence awareness. Under college, career, and military readiness, the dropout prevention and graduation rates. Our goals here are again to develop a plan where 100% of our teachers provide staff development in unpacking the TEKS and regarding questioning strategies and 21st century skills, which include, of course, critical thinking, problem solving, those 21st century skills. By the end of June, we will develop and promote programs where 100% of our CTE and advanced courses course staff will receive professional development in building capacity in programs of study and certification. So we want to ensure that our programs of study are going to be reaching the certification levels. Again, the district will develop an accelerated plan to support 100% of our students' needs every 9 weeks. We will continue to look at our data of our benchmarks and common assessments and create accelerated plans for those children. Under family and community engagement, the district departments and campuses will ensure communication to stakeholders is delivered in 2 or more platforms. So that's how we're communicating with our stakeholders. By the end of the year, also, our parent liaisons, along with the CIS site coordinators, will design opportunities every month for parents to engage with our campuses. By May of 2023, we conduct a survey for our parents and community to create a baseline of needs and to be able to monitor those programs that are being implemented throughout the district for effectiveness. And then under technology, which is our last one, by 2023, we will identify and prioritize the technology needs of the district in terms of network reliability and end user support, and develop a plan of sustainability. Also, by the end of the school year, we will inventory 100% of our campuses to create a technology profile for each, which I will say very confidently that we're doing that already and have been doing this all throughout the year as we prepare for testing for each campus, and will support future campus and district purchases, the development of long-range technology plan. And also by the end of 2023, KISD will create a plan to train teachers to increase their proficiency with instructional technology tools and of delivery instructional of best practices. And so that ends our district improvement plan overview. Are there any questions that you might?
Just one, and I don't mean to split hairs on this, but for example, let's take that very last one. The plan to train teachers to increase their proficiency with instructional technology tools and delivery of instructional best practices. Because by the end of 2023, does that give us through December? Because it seems like some of that would be more applicable to be done over a not a summer necessarily, but in early beginning of the year type.
Yeah, well, when I read it, and Dr. Perez, answering this question, by the end of 2023, for me, that doesn't mean the end of the school year.
Gotcha.
So we would continue, yes. So I do that every time we have professional development, we're looking at every one of these 6 and be inclusive in if we need additional training for our teachers, where is the training needed? Do we have the staff, which we do, to come in and provide that for our teachers?
Good, so we have 10 months instead of.
Yes.
3. Perfect. All right. Any, I will entertain a motion to approve the district improvement plan as presented by Dr. Beth Nice. So moved. Motion made by Mr. Ruiz, seconded by Mr. Chapa. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 15. The board will now enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074 to deliberate and consider the following. A, consultation with legal counsel regarding legal and personnel matters. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering closed session at 7:18 p.m. We now return to open session, take necessary action on matters which the board may discuss in open session, and upon which action may be taken. We are returning to open session at 7:52 p.m. There being no further action, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So we.
Made by Mr. Morales,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ruiz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.